Warning. The following show contains explicit language.
Live from the Punch-In Studios on the shores of Lake Erie in northern Pennsylvania, this is the radio program for war gamers, 40K nerds, and beer drinkers. It's your best source for live 40K podcasting that combines the two things we love the most, 40K and drinking beer. This is the 40K show with a head on it guaranteed to leave you a little buzzed. You're listening to the 40K podcast.
Hey, oh shit, it's time to do a show. What's up, everybody? How's it going? It's fucking Friday. Hey, thanks for everybody. What's going on? Nice little couple seconds there in the pre-show.
It's like our new thing.
Yeah, I like it. So you should definitely join us live on Twitch only now. We've consolidated down to just Twitch. So if you want to see us live on Fridays,
the numbers we're in.
Come see us on Twitch. Before we kick off, today we are talking episode 5. We're going to be talking about proxy models when they're appropriate, when they're not. What's the word we were coming up with pre-show?
Aprox-a-model.
Aprox-a-model. But before we do that, big announcement. We wanted to welcome our newest sponsor, Griffin's Lair Game Shop, the newest game shop in Erie. They've been around for just over a year.
Yep.
And if you guys are listening, you know you were in a spot that nobody could get to. Moved to a really nice new location, and to celebrate their grand opening, they decided to jump on and sponsor the show for the next year.
Absolutely.
So for all of you, you have a whole year of us yammering in your ear holes, and you get to stare at our beautiful faces for a year. All thanks to Griffin. Their website is currently under production.
Yes.
It's going to be built. It's going to be live. But that means you'll be able to get your supplies, your hobby supplies, 40K related, non-40K related. He carries the most D&D stuff I've seen in a very long time in a local store. But he's going to be all online.
Yes.
So you'll be able to get them from the same store that we do. Also, Custom Stencils is here as a sponsor of the show. They're going to be here for a very long time as well. And big thanks to KW Designs. I did want to say,
oh, what do you got?
This beauty right here. This is the anti-bottle, don't spill your drink. It fits right next to it. Basically, what he did was, if you guys remember old school, they did 3-ups of models before they released them. And I apologize, this new camera angle is messing with me. There it is. So you can see he did a nice job of that. So it's an exact replica of the don't spill your paint pots, and helps me feel soberer as I'm not spilling so many beers.
I love it.
Yeah,
I can't wait to have mine. Where's mine?
I don't know. You gotta do stuff. So no, super excited about that. Also, Custom Stencils website is going to be launched very, very soon as well. It seems like our sponsors and us are all we're starting at the same time, all on the grand floor, which is
one big happy
cool.
family. I can't wait to visit the site.
Yeah,
I got stuff to get.
Got the announcements out of the way. Let's get into the meat and the potatoes and the what the hell's going on.
Absolutely.
Talking about proxy models.
And count as.
Count ass. So what brought this up is that every once in a while you go to a game store or you go and play in a tournament and you're playing along.
Yes.
And you think that something is something that it's not, and you find that out in the worst possible time. Meaning, let's take for an example. You're looking at what you think are fire dragons, and you change your game plan. You move things around. You get to go to those fire dragons, and you find out that no, those are just guardians. But it generally doesn't happen that way. It generally happens the other way around. Oh, I thought those were just guardians. Oh, no, those are fire dragons. They're going to eat your face now.
Or the reapers.
Yeah, and I understand, counts as for testing purposes and for playing purposes, and that's not really what this show is about. This one is about, when does converting your army become too much? When does using proxy models and using third-party products, when does that line get crossed? And I'm going to try very hard to give some examples, some real-life examples, but we will change the names and keep everybody innocent. Yeah. So I guess no, nothing. I just feel like I'm rambling in my monologue.
You had the opening monologue, you know what I'm saying?
Right. So
did that migraine really scramble your brain?
It may have. It may have. Forgot. I'm sitting in the wrong chair.
You got a new chair. I'm a little jealous.
Well, it's an old chair. This is a couple episodes old now. It's got the elbow rests in it and everything. So I guess I'll ask George. How do you feel about, when customization becomes so paramount on the unit that you can't really tell what it is anymore? What side of the fence are you on?
I don't necessarily see too many guys that like go overboard with like conversions and stuff like that. They're like saying like that they want to they have some sort of theme that they're trying to get with proxy. And I mean really proxy models, but they're just like they're painted up in some sort of theme. Like I've seen and maybe you guys have seen this guy too. There's a guy who was going around the competitive circuit, and he had done up an Imperial Guard army, and every damn model on the beautifully painted, but every damn model was painted to be like G.I. Joe, like Cobra.
I love it.
G.I. Joe.
Yeah,
I
love it.
Fantastic, but I couldn't tell what the fuck anything was on the table. It's like, oh, those guys have melta weapons. Oh, great. But you're like stunned by how beautiful the conversion job is. That's fantastic. But it's like, I still can't, and you're going to kick my ass because I have no idea what any of this stuff is, but it looks good. And so you got players like that, and then you got other players that are just like they want to proxy out zombies for anything. Like I've got this big
like
lump of
poxwalkers.
zombies. I'm just gonna throw these out there, and they're gonna be termagants, or they're gonna be whatever. Or they're gonna be something else simply because they don't have the. I mean, I see this a lot in horde armies where they have to like proxy out with a lot of sort of generic, like zombies, for instance, is one.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. As far as, and that's what I see as far as. Proxy so much. I think there's the kind of like the sloppy proxy model player, and then there's the guy who just like did everything so it looks like
the man out of Legos,
like Cobra from G.I. Joe.
I think one of the ones that jumps out to me is if you're going to proxy or you're going to convert or you're going to use third-party products and you're going to use NIDs as your rule base, then they should still resemble NIDs. Like I would have a problem if it was a zombie army, and it has nothing to do with bugs. There's nothing even remote to it.
Right.
Now,
right.
On the same token, seeing someone come with an Exodite army would be fantastic to look at, but I think would offer the same kinds of issues of, well, what is that flying turtle? Is that a is that a fire prism, or is that a falcon? What is it?
That's another example. Like when we were living in Florida, there was that one convention called the Necronomicon.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that. That was a big one.
They're still doing it there. I think it's now the Crucible is sort of taken over. Big ups to Tim Wright, who is the organizer for that. I know him. But anyways, like when I was at the Necro, they had I've seen Exodite model or Exodite Exodite armies where they're proxying out like a lot of the like maybe a falcon ends up being what do you call it, like one of the bigger dinosaurs from the Lizardmen army, and they what they were doing is they were putting a fire prism weapon, like the fire prism cannon, on the back of like one of these big dinosaurs, and saying, okay, this is a fire prism. And the only ways I could tell what that was because there's a big fire prism aiming at me, so that's probably what it is. But and I hate to like dock people for that because they're beautiful armies, and they put them together to to follow a theme. But I think maybe, and you guys can correct me, or maybe this is a step too far, but like maybe what they need to do is sort of like come up with a fancy army list or something that has pictures of all these things on the army list. So if that thing is if I'm proxying out a fire prism, I can tell what that is. Or if like Lady Deathstrike or whatever from the Cobra army is, a particular character from IG, it would be nice to know what that is. I think it's one thing to be playing proxied out models on a tournament level, but then when you get into just sort of pickup games, or you're doing some like kind of a local event or something like that, that's when you just sort of have to, I think, just kind of go with the flow.
I like the idea that you just came up with. I should have a picture of what your unit is and then what it's supposed to be. I like having a legend.
Right.
Isn't that what they call it on the
legend or an
bottom
index
of a map? Like a legend to go through it.
Something like that. Absolutely.
In Age of Sigmar, they have like these little cards, that is representative of each one of the units that are on there. Now they're war scrolls, of course, but they sell these separate card kind of things. And I know that they are doing something similar where like if you have like an old school army, such as like I play Chaos Dwarves, they have these cards that you can just sort of put in the information on, and then you have them sitting there in front of you. It'd be nice if you had something like that for 40K, so you could just simply give it to your opponent and say, okay, see this picture right here? That's that right there. So you at least have some sort of reference.
Yeah,
even in the middle of playing, though, you're still going to forget things.
It still
in the heat of battle, you're going to forget.
And I look at this, I've been trying to break my brain of consistently thinking in a tournament environment. I'm not really in that tournament environment anymore, but that's still how we play-ish. We've always said we're that combo now between tournament and friendly, and I still have a hard time grasping it. I love the hobby aspect of it. I am thoroughly appreciative and in awe sometimes of what some of these people are able to do that I couldn't even comprehend, to come up with armies that look amazing. But I would say those are open play. That's narrative play. That's something to where I don't give a shit whether I win or lose. Then I would play against those armies.
It would go good with an event called The Boys that just happened, in New York, where theme and presentation of an army works out 100%.
But that's still a tournament environment, right? You still have that kind of, I got third because I didn't know that was a friggin', whatever Terminator or whatever it is. It's weird for that aspect.
We've all had those experiences. I mean, I just had one when I played my league game with Kevin locally, where certain Dark Eldar models or weapons aren't represented properly. And again, I'm not into my Dark Eldar foo, where I don't know, like certain blasters and lances, etc., were represented.
Right.
I get caught up. I have no clue. The biggest problem I have for Count As and Proxy is like when I'm playing Dark Eldar and they don't fit all in the vehicle. I forget what's inside. There's no representation for something like that. Again, it comes down to we have someone local where a certain proxy model for guard is Skaven units. I have no clue what the hell each one of those are. Other than I know, okay, more than 10 miles, I'm assuming it's infantry, etc. The proxy and the theme is kind of cool, but the count as models or something, I think everything should be WYSIWYG'd. If a square is a square, it can't be a circle in color differently. It has to be an IG model. Now, it comes to a point to where certain Forge World models count as like Elysian? Is it Elysian drop troops? Are they counted as
Elysian
Elysian? Is that
Elysian?
Erie Foo? It sucks. It's from the south.
You're from
Well, no,
South
I mean,
Erie.
Yeah, just saying. South
you
there.
have no accent.
South Erie.
None. That's how
Anyway,
people
well-
know where we're from, because we don't have a fucking accent.
Getting back to my point, those Forge World models are smaller, shorter than standard Imperial Guard.
But there's no
They can count as a proxy to a standard guard unit, but do they count as something else? So again,
I don't
there's
know if I would go as far as
left
that, because
and right sides of
that's
the
guard to
spectrum.
guard. I don't see a whole lot of confusion about, look, if it's a guard wearing a skirt or a guard wearing a grav chute or a guard wearing something, like if it's a small dude holding a gun and they're playing guard, okay, they're playing like
Now
that
you go to
doesn't
the turn
confuse
signal
me.
on the Land Raider where it's a Coke can and it's Carnifex.
That's
had that
that's the
issue-
other, that's, so I wouldn't count Forge World stuff as proxying. I would, I wouldn't count somebody, oh, I'm playing Death Corps to Krieg, but I don't want to play their rules. I just want to play regular guard. I don't have a problem with those. To me, that's not as confusing, and maybe people do. And if, I'd love to hear, anybody's opinions. Like we always say, throw it in the comments, throw it in the chat. Let us know, what's confusing and what's not. But
We just had that issue, and I'm sorry to cut you off, George, where the guys were doing the count as Rough Rider guy. As a proxy model, and then, that whole shenanigans. Like, come on, guys. This is a whole different level when you get to that point. I mean, you spend a lot of money or you don't spend a lot of money on the models. I know what you're talking about when you have to get models. Okay, spend the extra time. Now, again, a proxy in that type of environment, a GT or higher, uncalled for.
All right,
A
well,
local
I
could
think
be
there's
something
a couple
else.
Other things that kind of go along with this too. The first one I was going to say is I have been in situations where I'm dealing with a guy with, like, say, an unpainted army, or maybe it's just sort of a mishmash, and these are the guys who are basically net listing everything, and they're popping off a power sword and gluing a power fist on there because that's going to give them the best advantage for whatever it is that they're doing, right? And so suddenly you see that, or maybe I'm not saying they do this in game, they don't, but like you're just looking at this big mishmash of sort of just slapped on weapons just so that they can get past the WYSIWYG side of things. And then I've been in situations now, and granted this has been a while, not so much since 8th, but I can remember back in the foggy days of 5th and 6th where there'd be like a big just blob of
We don't talk about 5th.
close combat troops going in there, and then suddenly out of the blue the guy's like, oh, and that guy's got a fist, and that guy's got melt bombs, and that guy's got, and it's like right as soon as you get into as soon as you pile in, that's when you find out there's a whole slew of weapons in there that you'd probably never would have made the charge had you known that, or you would have done something a little bit different. And there was a while, I want to say it was like 5th or 6th, but it was that blob attack. It was just like it was like barrel of monkeys. Just take all your freaking models and put them on there, and whoever hits, because there was this idea that if you weren't moving fast enough, then you were wasting your opponent's time, right? Especially if you're playing a horde army.
Right.
And that's when you find out, okay, there's a fist in there. There's and you're looking at that and you go, I don't see the fist. Oh yeah, it's proxied out for the claw, or it's proxied out for whatever else. And that's when you find this in the game. And I think really it's important to sort of suss that out before you before you go and make assaults, but certainly when you're going to play your opponent. But the other thing I was going to say is that this game has been around for so long that there are old school editions of pretty common models that don't even look like they belong in the game anymore. So if you went and you picked up, like, do you guys remember the
Sisters of Battle? No, okay.
The blood letters. Blood letters have gone through so many different iterations. They were like in the Rogue Trader era. They were like that kind of skinny, like kind of how they look now. And then they went into the Huggy Bear models. Do you remember the Huggy Bear models?
Yeah,
I love them. I got a bunch of them.
holding the double-handled axe, and
Yeah, if I were to throw those down there, they go, "What the fuck is this?"
But once you explain, though, that's not confusing, right? That I think, hey, this is an older model, this is a blood letter. Once you see, oh, okay, that makes sense, it's there. Again, maybe that's because I have that older, I've been playing, so I understand and know them. But where I get, and even though the player might not mean it, it seems pretty shady and a little underhanded and kind of dirty when you go into George's example of, oh, I just charged into this unit. Oh, well, shit, son, that's got 4 power fists and this and that. And she runs good, and she's going to beat your face in.
She purrs like a kitten, but she's got some axes.
You know, I agree. I wouldn't have charged in there if I'd have known all of this other stuff was there. So, and I'm not trying to take away from those players. You know, what brought this up? I'll
Don't do it.
I want to call him out so bad.
Don't do it.
When he hears, he'll know.
No.
He's got an army of Eldar.
Oh, he's in the chat.
And he has some wonderfully beautiful Forge World Shadow Specters. I love them. I have units of them myself.
I just tagged his ass on the chat.
And there was pre-approval of, hey, can I proxy out some models? Yeah, sure. It's a friendly 4-month tournament thing. No one's really going to give a shit. Sure. We'll let you proxy those in. We're all trusting.
Come on,
hear
Ricky,
his
let's
opponent
go.
coming and going, yeah, I'm going to go after those Shadow Specters. Oh, no, those aren't Shadow Specters. Those are Dark Reapers. And in the back of my mind, I went, what the fuck? That is proxying to a whole fucking level that I couldn't even understand. In fact, it spawned this whole show. He is responsible for
now,
this.
Is this in a
1
tournament?
hour. It's in a tournament structure. It's in our 4. We play 1 tournament game a month out of the 4 months. It's like, look, the army looks amazing.
It's
based on,
beautiful.
in case he doesn't know who I'm fucking talking about, it's based on Tron. And I'm pretty sure he got all his bases from KW Designs.
I wouldn't really say.
But it's gorgeous. But it's just confusing as all get out when that kind of stuff happens.
I know. It's your old school mentality meeting the new kids on the block.
Is that SpongeBob?
What the fuck is that?
That counts as a Bobby G.
Oh, yes.
I'm pretty sure that's a Bobby G counts as. So yeah, and look, I'm busting his balls, and it's in good fun, but it really is a serious kind of discussion to talk about. Phil and I were talking also a couple of weeks ago.
We don't talk
about. So, what about Bobby G?
I hate Bobby G.
So
I hate Jesus Christ.
I know, but
that's what I call him. I love
what we were
Jesus.
talking about was if you're playing a successor chapter of Ultramarines,
right? You can't have him.
You can't play with Bobby G?
No.
Why?
Has to be blue.
That's what I'm saying. He has to be blue.
It was in the one FAQ, if I think.
Is that for real?
I have short-term memory loss. So yeah.
I would. That's.
You cannot have.
I don't think they've ever FAQ'd that you had to have him a specific color.
Yeah. Well, he's Ultramarine.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it matters.
Why?
What are the successor chapters of the Ultramarines? It's like Sons of Arar and some.
Yeah,
some other ones.
the Sons of Orion, and there's like 5 or 6 different ones, right?
It comes with faction Ultramarine or Imperium.
So,
or
but
something
you're
like
making up your own. Case in point, the missing legions are there specifically so that you can make up your own chapter. So if you're making up your own chapter of boogity Marines, and you want to use the Ultramarine rules for your boogity Marines, then you should get a boogity.
No. Bobby G's
Bobby G.
Ultramarines. No. You can't have them. They had the correction. Now, I don't know the exact verbiage, of course, that you couldn't have Bobby G with Blood Angels. You couldn't have them with Dark Angels or whatnot with the keyword
Trust
Imperium.
me, I would have them if it could.
Right, but that's a keyword adjustment. But there's nothing that's ever been FAQ'd that says you couldn't do that. I don't think. Look, there's only one Bobby G model, right? Yeah. So I'm saying use the model. But if you wanted to have them be in the Purple Hosers Space Marines, as long as the list is using Purple Hosers, I don't see the problem with that one, because there's nothing confusing there. Like a Marine is a Marine, is a Marine. Like a World War II looking Imperial Guard and a 40,000 a year in the future Imperial Guard. A lasgun and a World War II rifle look close enough that you're not going to really confuse them.
It's a stubber, man.
But it's
it's
trying to say,
stubborn,
okay,
dude.
this dude holding a pistol actually has a mortar.
I remember. I can remember
that's
when
different.
when Eldar switched over. All of their Guardians used to have las guns, and then they switched them over to shuriken catapults. I don't know if you guys remember those old days when they came up with the very first plastic set of Eldar Guardians. And then I think in third, they
Did they have the
decided that the
attachments?
standard armament was going to be shuriken catapults, and they switched them over. And Games Workshop was saying, "Oh yeah, those las guns, those are actually shuriken catapults. They were just like, the prototype for shuriken cat. They just made up some cock and bull reason for why they had those things." Hey, I wanted to show you something here.
Sure.
This is something I did that.
Oh, God.
Gosh, it was back in December of 2009. My good friend Jim Gilliam in Florida.
Big
we
Jim,
did a
what's
mixed
up?
doubles tournament for, I think it had to be Coliseum of Comics, and so he was playing IG and I was playing Tyranids, and this was back in the day when they didn't have a Gene Stealer cult force. Anymore. So I was proxying out a whole bunch of Gene Stealers. And, basically, I was running a straight Stealer Tyranid list, but I was trying to come up. We were using some of the old school models for that, and we knew there would be some confusion. So I made this really cool little thing right here.
You were running a true Vanguard.
I remember that you made that little, yeah. Right.
When theme was cool.
Yeah. So if we had like guys who were like most of Jim's
Meckwolf
IG
says
were proxied out as Gene
show
Stealer
off.
hybrids or Brood Brothers, and so we had to have some way to identify them.
Meckwolf called you a show off.
But
I am.
But I like that idea. Like that's what I'm talking about. That extra mile. If you've already put in the super work to make these awesome looking armies, then just that extra little step goes a super long way. To have a more enjoyable game. And it's hard to also talk about this because you're talking about the people that are generally comparative to the population of gamers. They're super hobbyists,
all right,
right?
So
They're spending a lot of time doing these massive conversions, or they're painting up other proxy models, so this isn't always a bad thing.
No,
if you
it's
pull
not-
off
it's
a
not.
proxy right, if you pull off a conversion correctly, where it's not causing confusion and it looks amazing, then you've nailed it.
all right, so here's depending on the tournament, TL, etc. When is it to where you label your infantry? Say with my Tyranids. I'll use my Tyranids for an example. Spike rifles. They don't make them. Can I count as or proxy termagants with flesh borers on a different color base with a tournament organizer's approval? Or is there something, because they don't make the spike rifle model. I would have to craft some type of thing or find those old school
Yeah,
spike
now you're
rifles.
talking. Now you're speaking my
Where I got to drill flesh, hooks and put it in there. With today's game and environment, is it easier just with people to understand? And the example is what we're trying to show off later is I have green bases to show that they're all spike rifles, and I have my Termagant squad using yellow bases because they have all these these armaments. Would that pass as a count as or proxy rule to be allowed to where they don't make the gun, but it's an armament in the codex?
Well, it's not that.
Just like the strangle webs. They don't make that. I'd have to proxy it. They don't make those on the sprue, the current sprue.
right.
They had them in metal models. I have 4 spike rifles. But you can mix and match the squads, of course. But those metal models are smaller than the plastic models that they sell now. So am I modeling for advantage? Because I can put that guy in cover and you never see his ass. You know what I'm saying? Is that modeling for now advantage with using a proxied model or a count as model, for that? Or is he showing off?
Now he's got his old school knit.
So it all comes down to that. That was my discussion.
Well,
because
is that something? I mean,
I
how do you
don't
answer
field the spike rifles just for the reason is I don't have them. I don't have enough of them. I would like to have a full squad of them just for range.
So it would be, I think, with your example of the color of the bases, that's pretty extreme. But it would eliminate
the
it would eliminate. Now you can only take that so far, though. I don't think that I would expand that in any organized play to say, oh, well, if you don't have a power fist, you can paint them with a red base. And if you don't, because I don't want to carry the Roy G. Biv index of what is what and what is what. Like, I don't want to have a 57 color chart of, okay, this is a power fist and this is
that's true. And with the army representation that I have with the troop selection, they only have they come, that's bad English. They only come with 3 options for their guns.
But with your example, though, it makes sense. It's an easy fix, right? Because a majority of your army is WYSIWYG. And if they don't carry, okay, look, I have everything, but they don't make this weapon. I haven't figured out a way to convert one to make it look decent enough. Or actually, I don't really want to spend the time.
I don't even want to spend the time on it.
But they're on red circles.
Old.
We've marked them with red circles. That eliminates confusion right away. Now, again, if you had a Skittles army where it's 500 termagants, but 10 of those are actually zoanthropes and 5 of them are actually this, or 16 of these are actually this, or to bring George's example back up again, so you have that same unit, but now you've got mixed weapons. Well, conveniently, I just happened to kill, all of the ones here, and then now I'm going into this, and that's suddenly where all of the, you have jumping weapons, from one squad to another, or, you have them in different locations, and all of a sudden they've teleported in, and it's actually that model that has the weapon, not the one that's way in the back that was out of combat anyways. It clearly identifying. So we've come up with 2 so far. 1, you can paint your bases different.
Right.
2, George said, come up with a key and a location. I like them both. I think it works. But I think it boils down to when you're converting and when you're making these super awesome armies. The key is to remember if you're confused instantly, right? If you can be told this is this, this is this, and this is this.
Got it.
And you're like, okay, yep, I got it. I'll remember that. Once it goes into confusion state, we're like, wait a minute, was the second blue one the one that was this, or was it this?
Right.
That's that's when it's done, and that's
again going with the Kevin reference. He doesn't have a model that represent. I believe it's a blaster. Some people can correct me before or after, whatever. But I believe like certain sprues did not have those type of guns. With simple modifications, as long as you explain it, that's fine. But here's the other problem, is the models are so damn small. I'll use Eldar and Dark Eldar, the old school terms for them. Their models are so small that when you have a bunch of them grouped together, I can't see. It's almost like orcs.
A little bit.
Okay, you get orcs going.
Yeah, that's another horde army.
Another horde army. Where is it Slugga, big Slugga? I mean, holy cow, I can't tell. Again, I can't say with the new codex if you can mix and match certain units to have certain guns now. You know what I'm saying? But again, I can't I can't tell. Now, shame on me because again, that's something.
Well, again, that's
different. But if
different.
you get to I have 15 of these and I have 14 of these and okay,
but if they have them and they have them,
well, again, that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Because
again, with this whole thing of chess clocks, you got this thing where it's like, well, sure, bro.
But I don't want people to confuse not knowing your opponent and being and that's why you don't know what's in the unit versus that's not what was really being shown in the unit, right? So
Because time's always a factor.
that's a different person's responsibility. Like if you don't know what a choppa looks like, or you don't know what the different guns look like, that's on you as a player, right? Like the other opponent can show you, but I think you should have some of that. Yes, you're not going to know everything out there, but you should have some kind of...
Custodes came out, I had no clue what these weapons did, and I wouldn't be able to tell you one from another because I simply didn't have the codex and I didn't know enough about the army. And I think at that stage it's really kind of on you, because the guy's just putting together what he's seeing is
right. And we're past the count as and proxy when it's a true model. Yeah,
right. It's again, that's confusion that you haven't educated yourself to know what it is. Right. What I'm saying is, even if you played that army and you look over and go, dude, I have no idea. It looks amazing. It's beautiful. It's painted super well, but I have no idea what I'm playing against. At that point in a competitive, semi-competitive, whatever, if you're not playing open play, it takes a little bit away because you feel...
You're already under the gun with the 2-hour time limit on
because we like
the last
to play
thing I need
those.
to do is take algebra or trig 2 to figure out what the hell army you got. I left that 20 years ago back that way. I don't have time for that.
But again, I want to rate on the flip side. There is a lot of proxy models out there. There's a lot of third-party models out there that do function super well. In fact, Games Workshop makes their own proxies for 40K.
Stop.
They do.
Shut the front door.
The Age of Sigmar Khorne models are light years ahead of the 40K models.
Yeah.
And that's a very simple, couple
rock the boat,
conversion points
Spencer.
here, and it's perfect. Like,
how many people with the Blackstone Fortress are going to get the Beastmen?
I want
Okay.
I'll put this out right now.
And
If
how
you
many
don't
people are
want
going to
your
use the
Beastmen,
Trader Guard?
I want them. I want
Public
them
service
all.
announcements for everybody listening.
Those the instant I saw them in the store sitting on the shelf because we were looking
I think
at the
they're kinda
preview
ugly.
thing, I instantly
I know they're old
said,
school.
That's Imperial Guard.
I wonder if that's going to be a codex.
Conscripts for Imperial Guard.
Wouldn't that be cool?
But they're weaponed. They're good. I like them. I don't know if people are going to spend $140 to get 4 models and then do that a bunch of times. I did joke though that it's the same price as 4 Forge World models of the same size. So
you did say that locally. Yeah.
So it's not really like too far
did
out
say
of
that.
there.
But wait, there's more. There's a Trader Guard.
Sucky. I'm very, very excited about that.
I really hope they do that, because I really liked the Renegades that Forge World was doing, and I would very much love to do a Renegade Guard army.
Yeah.
I like Abaddon's brother.
He has 12. Which one?
Well, no, his true brother. He has a new top knot in the Blackstone Fortress. He is a Chaos Lord.
Oh,
he has
yeah,
a top
yeah,
knot.
yeah.
He's a badass with a pistol and a thunder hammer. Oh my god, beautiful.
That reminds me, there was something else I want to talk to you before we get out of this topic and end this show. I think there's some really high-end third-party products out there that are doing better jobs sometimes than GW.
When does third party take over to the point where it's too much?
Well, again, that's
I got an example.
Oh, finish your statement, Spencer, and maybe go to
because
George.
You said Abaddon, however you want to say it.
It's my southern draw.
There is, I want to say it's War Games. Why can't I think of the name now all of a sudden? I had it in the top of my head. But there's a company that makes the Black Crusader. And it's phenomenal. It's definitely not GW, but there's no mistaking what it is. Same with Raging Heroes has some female models.
Oh man, yeah, that's one of my favorites.
The Duke over here just said the Sisters of Battle third party.
Yeah, the Raging Heroes. I love them.
Man,
They look. I mean, if we thought Forge World was expensive, holy crap!
And someone posted a full squat army. Come on,
But they look amazing. So I want to put the positive spin on there too. That it's worth going out there and it's worth looking at it, and there's definitely some hobby opportunity with those ones that are out there. Pig Iron used to be one. I think they
Used to be. Yeah,
they're belly up.
They
now.
are.
I'm trying to get their website to come up, but Puppet Wars is a fantastic site for proxies. And if you are like me and you played Corn Demonkin and you played the Corn Dog list where you were trying to play those goddamn flesh hounds all the time, and you had to come up with like 40 of these things.
Oh yeah.
And you didn't want
the
to
minor
pay
dogs.
$60 for 5 of those damn hounds from Failcast. And then you're looking
mad?
for like proxy models for this, and they came out with some of the best proxy, like they're basically hellhounds, but they're
right.
I think they're called Barghest Fiends is what they're called. I bought about 30 of those for my corn dog list, and I won't use anything else. And now finally, after 30 years, they finally come out with a new plastic version of the corn dogs.
Well, 2 weeks ago when Spencer was not at 100%, GW made that major announcement of, hey guys, here's Christmas. Okay, and I know what you're saying with all these new releases, even the new models that came out. It's crazy. All I know is the third-party Sisters Army is cool, but I think it almost takes away. And as I said the statement before, when does the third party too much or takes over towards too much? I think it almost takes away the spirit of the game a little bit, or takes away the prestige of the game a little bit, to where it's like, oh, well, I'm using GW models, I'm using that. I'm not using this third-party Sisters Army to represent their Sisters Battle. Yeah, they're coming out, but again, it's one of those things where Pig Iron, well, if I wanted to play Pig Iron products, I'd have all Pig Iron products. Granted, it's a cool theme, but when does it take away from?
So you're saying you're a gamist?
Anti-gamist, something weird like that. I don't even know. It's just like, when can you use? Because before, wasn't the rule of you had to have X amount percentage of GW on your model? Does that still stand the test of time with 8th?
Well, it depends on where you go. I mean, we've dogged on the Citadel tea and crackers in Texas, where you can't have third-party bases, let alone.
Again, where does that come into effect, and proxy come into effect? And take over?
To me, that doesn't. I don't care.
That's you don't care.
Well, more often than not, these third-party models, Wargame exclusive is who I was talking about, by the way. They do stuff for Adeptus Mechanicus.
Okay.
They do stuff for Necrons. They've got Space Cells. They've even got Tau, which...
You're a big fan.
Almost.
You're a big fan.
These look so good. I was talking to Phil saying, that's a Tau kill team. I still can't do it, but they have so much character in the greater good models that they have, and I'm really shocked. I mean, these are so close that these guys haven't gotten hit with a hammer. I mean, G-Dub's hitting harder people than that. These are really, really good. The one that I was thinking of, the Chaos Lord of the Night, the Conqueror Lord, and then the Chaos Master of Crusade. That's the one that is
this being
just
the 40K
perfect.
podcast, I'm sure the cease and desist will come.
Right.
Oh, fantastic!
Raising the bar in podcast excellence. I'm just saying.
Now, let me ask you this, okay? There's a great company called Creature Caster. Have you guys heard?
Yeah.
of it?
Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
They had come up with some of the best proxy models for
Count
some
as
greater demons, and you could probably use them for some chaos power specific demon princes or princesses, as the case may be. Now, when you're waiting, as long as you have been, for a Keeper of Secrets model, where do you draw the line? Is it okay to go say, you know what, I can't get anything out of Games Workshop and their model that they've got for a Keeper of Secrets? I know they're probably coming out with a new one soon, but when you're going in some cases 20, 25 years without a model to represent that, is that okay?
I think it is. And I think it also brings up another good, little mark on the list, is you're talking 1 or 2 models, right? So if you're using your example, that's one. It's one model. You're only telling them this is a keeper of secrets. It's the only thing that you have to remember out of the rest of this army. This is a keeper of secrets. Special characters, I think, also get a little bit more leeway. The stuff from War Games exclusive. As far as other demons, George, what's the it was Kingdom Death. The demon with the titties everywhere, just nipples for nipples for nipples.
Don't type that in your search engine at work. No, that site scares me so much. I don't look at it.
That's opening a whole nother can of worms about when does it become the dildos on the tanks at grand tournaments back in the day where they would kick you out for the Slanesh army. That just becomes, I think it's hilarious. But
did you know they're making children's books about demons?
Oh yeah,
I'm kidding. Sure. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, there's that one too. George
I love the boob one. It's great.
Yeah,
nothing says demon with a set of tatas running all the way down.
Well, it's
yeah,
funny
but the wet nurse is beyond.
They
it's crazy.
Ended up killing the model, but there was a Slaneshi model called Dakala the Denied, or the Denied One, or something like that. It looked almost identical to something like this, and I think they got cease and desist orders from like Dungeons and Dragons because it looked too close to one of like the demon types from Dungeons and Dragons. It actually
looks, if you remove like 4 sets of those, it looks like Morthy from AOS.
Yeah.
But again,
hold on, I'm counting them.
But again, we're talking about 1 or 2 models. That's not a huge deal. I think units that are misrepresented, or units,
it comes down
massive
to the
models that you have to keep track of. Again, it goes down to keeping everything above board and keeping it from being as not confusing as possible. And I think if you can do that, then you can proxy your face off.
At this point of the game, with all the tournaments and all the drama that you hear, whether it's cheating's another subject to proxying is another subject to everything else to count as. I mean, it's almost to where it's regional, and you almost have to stay in your own area of gaming, because I'd be almost afraid to take the count as Sisters Army that you mentioned to a tournament I'd never been before. Say Two Kings, up in Buffalo. I just show up.
Yeah.
No, I forgot internet was down that day. I had no notification. It almost feels like, well, what if they wouldn't allow me? That's a wasted 2-hour trip. And then going back and forth. Shame on me for not following up. But then, when is that? Again, it comes down to the passion of count as and proxy is the difference between a shade of black to white.
In that, I would recommend to people if you're going to do that, if you're going to travel to unknown territories and you're going to take 2 or 3 models that might get kicked out, have GW backups.
Right.
On the other hand,
you need a sideboard.
I can also sympathize with, look, when we were playing this game, when we started, and we thought it was expensive, and everybody, and I'm not turning this into, fuck GW and their pricing scheme conversation. That's not at all what I'm pointing at. But it is exponentially more expensive to play this game. We all know that. As adults.
Have you played golf?
We have a hard time. Yeah. No, look, 10, 15 years ago, I think you could have got into the hobby.
Did you ever own an MG?
I think you could have got into the hobby for a couple $100. You could have. 10, 15 years ago, 4th, 5th, for $300, $400. $300 or $400.
You can't look me in the past.
But I need to for this example.
I know.
Now you're talking $2,000. That's a big jump. So there's got to be. You also have to have that little bit of wiggle room to allow a very small section. Anyways, look, we live in a town of what?
Millions.
450,000. Shit, I don't know. And out of that, there's 25 people that play 40K. Like, that's a really small fucking number, right? If it's allowing that starter player to come in to get cheaper models to to do that, to, especially with guard. I mean, you got to buy 6,000 guard models or orcs. Cromlech's not cheaper, but an orc's an orc's an orc. GW even knows that. They're trying to change the name, and it doesn't matter because an orc looks like an orc.
Rick?
But there's a little bit of leeway there too. Like you got to think about those kind of. No, I'm not saying GI Joe like plastic army men.
That'd be awesome. I would buy that shit today. Sorry, kids, Christmas ain't happening.
That's not the same kind of. But no, I'm saying like the green ones that come in a bag at the dollar store.
Those are Army Men. That is not G.I. Joe. I slapped the shit.
That's what I meant. It's all
could you do this? Could you take, because Mantic makes pretty passable orcs.
Oh, yeah.
Orcs. Could you use them?
I would not allow it.
I would.
If they're just basically the same thing. If they're boys, right?
Yeah, they're boys. Keep the weapons right.
There's different levels and getting back to your comment, there's different levels of the entry gateway drug. From board games to Kill Team to 40K to 30K, whatever you want to do.
Titanicus. I think I would put Titanicus at the top of that list.
Holy cow, that's
pompous assholes buy that game. Straight pompous assholes. He could have bought a 911. He could have bought a 911. No, he decided to buy the Titanicus Master Series.
That was my last hurrah.
I'm super glad you did, because I'm going to play the shit out of it once you build them up. But I'm going to live vicariously in the Titan world through your purchase of that.
Oh, diddy.
I'm looking forward to it.
You totally made me forget what the hell I was going to say.
But
you're lucky this is live.
But that brings up another. So in that game, we were talking about we were talking about putting an Imperator in for a warlord, because we didn't have one at that time. We weren't going to have another one.
Oh, yes.
And we were talking about proxying there.
Okay, yes. That is a good...
So now we're hypocrites and we're assholes because we were going to do
I would not allow that in a sanctioned game.
An Imperator, which is the same size?
It's actually a tad smaller. Granted, the armament is probably there. No. You've taken the level of a tournament.
Stickler.
No, because, again, it's almost to where your name and brand is on the line. Okay, you got the West Coast tournament.
That's not my brand. I don't give a shit about it.
So if we were thinking of running an event next year,
yes, we are.
I want to have it to where it is one of something that is dear and prestigious to our name.
Okay.
As far as, say, the podcast and our local club and our region.
Bolters and beer. What's up, motherfuckers? Oh, by the way, congrats, Phil, on Secretary Phil. I was going to introduce you as Secretary Phil, and we would all stand up.
But you know what? The cool thing is, I could not be in the
forgot.
shadow. But not to go. But Spencer, congratulations on the vice presidency of the club. Now, not to saying that our El Presidente is
Kevin,
worth the recognition. Damn you, Kevin.
But it sounds much better, Secretary. Like, it sounds like you do shit. Vice President just makes me sound like an asshole at the top. Like,
go golfing,
Secretary,
okay? Go golfing.
Exactly.
Anyway, with the name and getting back to like the whole Titanicus thing, listen, this is our game. Epic was 6mm. Titanicus, we'll say 15. Okay, granted, for the proxy, you have time to buy something. Proxying the model, I think with that game, needs to be on point.
Heretic.
You know what? No.
Because I'm calling your bullshit.
No, hold on, let me finish
because you were
going to
use Drop Zone Commander terrain for that.
You're
like, I got Drop Zone Commander terrain. I don't need to worry about that. So to be the arrogant
as
piece
a proxy,
of shit,
absolutely.
I would tell you I'm not playing that game.
2 days and 4 nights to put that damn terrain together.
That's because I built a whole box of Rogue Trader, because we picked that up and I was super excited about that. Best models, by the way, to ever put together. Amazing. I got them all put together and didn't have to do the weird 3 wish I had a 5th arm to put a weapon on. Great. But anyways, yes.
It comes down to
I'm a horrible human because I haven't built your...
For the guy who's spending that money, yes. You know what? It's a prestige game.
I'll
it's
tell
like
you
going croquet.
I had to go buy $5 worth of super glue too. And I've had 2 paper cuts, not associated with building any of your terrain, but I did get 2 paper cuts. I'm just looking for sympathy.
Let me see it.
They're on a different hand.
You're lucky I didn't bring my you're lucky I'm not Mexican, because I'd raise it.
So now it's my fault that we're not playing Titanicus because I haven't built your terrain.
You dropped the ball. You had 3 days off.
I did. I used the shit out of them too. I did a lot of stuff. I built Rogue Trader. That's what I did.
On the chat, look, on the chat, it says Drop Zone is 15mm. What's wrong with the scale? It's a good count as.
What, because you just said
I would not want to have it in my event.
You
No.
said
yes.
I wouldn't let the Imperator be in there because this
tournament?
is a pure game. Because we at the
in a
Pinnacle
tournament.
at the Titanicus Owners Association meeting
Join the Titanicus Facebook page. You'll see some
has
extreme
deemed
painting.
that this is horseshit, but we'll use Drop Zone Commander terrain in a pinch. I don't
Drop
think
Zone
that's
Commander
in
Train
the-
is not. Well, you really can't say it because Drop Zone Commander is a bastard game. Sorry, there's a new owner, but
Hawk.
yeah, that's gone.
I
Whoever
thought
bought
Hawk
it.
game.
It got sold to some other guy.
Yeah, somebody.
Spartan Games is a bastard game, and hey, I got 2 tattoos of it. That's fine.
That's yeah.
It's awesome.
That's
Remember
right, I got-
Dramos. Remember Dramos.
We all got tattoos of weird shit.
Yeah, I got some weird. Anyway, we are off topic on this, so let's bring this bitch around.
Oh no, I was just getting excited about this whole Titanicus thing.
Oh, yeah, you
oh
will
yeah,
be.
bring it on home, baby.
But
Bring
again,
it home.
it comes down to bringing it back to the count as and proxy. At least have some type of respect when you do it. Because again, it comes down to you're making yourself look good, or you're gonna make yourself look bad. I mean, I know Spencer's an asshole 24/7, but for 2 hours when we're playing, can you just be legitimate? Just have some
Slow your
respect.
roll.
I
Right?
would
Pump
say
your brakes on the ass and be a nice hole.
just be a nice hole. That's how I feel like when I place last in a tournament. Well, that was a nice hole.
You need to actually play in a tournament.
I am.
Yeah, what, 4 years ago?
I know we're playing in this one now, which is
It's a league.
no, it's a tournament.
It's a league.
It's run like a tournament. It's actually a really good way to get
Let's
a
wrap
tournament
this
in
up
for those people that
so
can't
we can
do
go
it.
to
So I really, really like it. Yeah, I guess George, what you got left?
All right. Do you know what the official rules are for proxy models like through Adepticon?
Yeah, you're an ass. That's what it's saying. Everybody's an ass. Who does that.
No,
I mean, because I know I've seen some models in there where, like, the guy who modeled up his Imperial Guard to be like Cobra Commander and shit like that. I've seen that before, but is there like something new now that we're in like 8th edition? There's some specific rules-oriented reason why we have to have it exactly the same.
off the top of my head, no, but they also have that thing in there where, like, hey, if you have to explain why this is painted, it's not painted. If you have to explain why this is confusing as shit, don't bring it.
Right. And Adepticon registration is this Sunday, so
I was
get
just about to say.
to your machine, put a
And-
program on, and pray to baby Jesus that you're randomly selected for the war game
Swag
package
bag.
swag bag, because there's so damn many of you people, and I hate you because I can't get a goddamn hotel. But hook me up.
Yeah,
if
we're
you
gonna
get a
end up.
suite
I
or
think
something.
we're gonna end up getting an RV. I think that's gonna be the plan.
Eric,
I think we're gonna try
Shitter's
to do.
full.
we're
Let's
gonna
go.
Try to do an RV for Adepticon this year. I think that'll be fun. I
That'll be
haven't
so
been there in
fun.
so long.
you didn't miss anything.
I'm
Just
looking.
a lot.
I did. I missed it a
2010, yeah,
lot.
so the last time I was there was when you were there.
Yeah, I've missed a lot. I've really missed it.
A lot
So
more-
I'm looking forward to
A lot more
to
stinky
getting there.
gamers are there.
I want to
Yeah.
go.
A shit ton.
I'm looking, but again with Adepticon as well, they they require, look, if you're gonna have something weird and funky, you got
Odin
to get
Stormfist
pre-approval
just
for it.
posted something on the chat that there is a model policy. It was
Mm-hmm.
last updated in 2017. I don't know, and it was for 2018. So hopefully this will probably be revamped for the 2019 registration that will probably be announced.
Yep.
on
Yeah,
Sunday.
this is the one I was pretty much putting through that.
Well, again, this comes back for the 3-color minimum. This is where I
and
put a rainbow.
WYSIWYG. But again, that's where it says, like, look, if you've got to justify why you think it's painted, it's not painted. Like, and I like that most of these are common.
Again,
sense
you're having
rules.
some prestige in your event.
Right here.
can't
Unless
read. What's
this
it
is
say?
perfect, and this is kind of what we've been getting through all along. Unless otherwise specified in the event rules or by receiving express written tournament organizer approval, your army should primarily be constructed of models from the given game system and the appropriate model range. Supplementing your army with models from outside the game system is acceptable, but shouldn't be the norm. They've said it in a much more lawyerish fashion than we have, but that's been kind of the point that we're trying to get across, is as the exception to your army. Special character here, cool dude sitting over there, crazy greater demon there, but not a majority or even 25%. So it's not a massive confusing mob of stuff that you have. I like it. That's pretty much that rule I live by. I like that one all the time.
As the Duke in the chat says, don't be a dick.
In the game.
Be a nice hole.
Don't be a dick in the game. Be a nice hole.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Shirt.
That's
Put that as shirt.
Yeah, that's just be a nice hole. I'm not sure how I would take.
I threw my
Be a
pen.
nice hole. I really like that. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of
And buy the merch.
random ramblings about proxy models. If you have any thoughts or ideas, let us know. We'd like to hear about how you feel about them. Also, if there's something you want to hear us ramble on about or discuss or argue about or get heated or throw shit or drink beer about, drop us a line, info@40kpodcast.com. We'd love to see it. Love to hear all your guys' feedback. Give us a like if you're listening to this recorded on YouTube. Thanks for hanging out. We appreciate it. Glad to be back on Friday.
Don't forget to subscribe on our Twitch channel.
Yeah. Oh, also, that reminds me. So, yeah,
You're welcome.
subscribe on Twitch. And if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you get one free subscription per month. Yes, you have to do it every month. You have to resubscribe. But you can subscribe, support the show, and it won't cost you a dime. If you can use your Twitch Amazon for us, we'd really appreciate it. Again, you don't have to, but we do appreciate it. Any kind of support that you can give us really does help.
Right? Like us on Instagram.
Yeah, all that social
40K
media
podcast?
shit. We're everywhere. Just click like.
I posted
follow,
on our
subscribe.
Facebook page, so click and join.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Really appreciate it. We are looking forward to the next episode. We will see you in episode 6, where we're going to be talking about.
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
Oh, that was like your cue. We suck
I
at
was
this
I was
whole thing.
Mech Space Wolf wanted you to give him a double reach around.
A double. Oh, that's because I own my
That's
shirt.
what threw my
It's
what
because I own my shirt.
it threw me off.
That's
No,
yeah.
I'm sorry. So episode 6, for people listening and watching at home, the millions and millions, it is, what do you do when the hobby consumes you?
Brain bleach, bitches.
What do you do to cleanse the palate? Because with this, 1 in a million podcast that reaches the thousands, millions of people listening at home, we're 24/7, 365 of 40K.
I feel like I'm in the attitude era right now.
Right? I know, that's why I get
Like I want to smash 2 beers together. We can walk out, middle fingers.
I know, that's where our conversation was storytelling. But again, where it almost consumes you, where you can't sleep at night. How do you get a clean palate?
What do you do when you're in the rut?
What do you do?
Yeah.
It's not even the rut. It's when is it to where, holy cow, I've been playing Space Hulk Tactics for a week. Holy cow, I can't stop thinking about Gene Stealer and blips. I need a break, but I can't because I love it. But I need to paint.
Yeah.
I love it, but I can't. I gotta stop. I gotta reboot. When is the soft boot or hard boot? But that is episode 6 for the people listening and watching at home.
Yeah. So awesome. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you next Friday. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening to the 40K Podcast. We hope you liked the show. If you did, there are a ton of ways you can help support the show. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Visit our website for all our social media links as well as a schedule of our next live shows. If you're listening to the recorded version on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and make sure you click that fucking notification bell so you never miss a show. An audio-only version of the show is also available on iTunes and Google Play. You can also subscribe to hear us right here on Twitch. If any of that is too much of a pain in the ass, dude, just tell a friend. We'd really appreciate it. We're going to go sober up, so we'll see you in 2 weeks. Peace, bitches.